we have a offertorium before we bless the children. I want to introduce somebody to you. We only know each other. It's going to go on 2 years, but it's like we've known each other all our lives. He has a long list of accolades, but primarily he's the national director for Nevi Mechal Children's Village that we are. And also, obviously, the president and chairman of the board of the Forster Foundation, which is our mission to Israel with the wheelchairs, our miracle mission. And that was something that he spearheaded, and I just came along for the ride. And I guess most importantly to me, he's my friend. He, is very prominent in the Jewish world, the traditional Jewish world. He's been the vice president of the conservative synagogues worldwide, and he has met some resistance just being my friend, being associated with me. And not because of my persona. Not because of my persona. It has nothing to do with that, and that's the worst part. I wouldn't mind if it was my persona, because, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but it's just because I'm a Jew who maintains my Judaism, very proud of my identity, called to my identity by the Bible, but I believe and know that the Messiah has come and will come again. So I'm an anomaly. I'm an anomaly to the church world. I don't fit into their box. I'm an anomaly to the Jewish world. I don't fit into their box. But I'm not trying to fit into anybody's box. And that's probably the biggest problem, is that most people box God in to begin with. With that being said, I've told him, just ignore me and just try to get donations for Nevi Mechal, because we're not helping children. This is not an orphanage. We're saving children's lives. You might not understand it. Saving lives. And also with the work we're doing elsewhere. So when he comes up with resistance, and they'll go, well, we'll get involved, but you have to disenfranchise yourself from Rabbi Greg. He won't do it. And I keep saying, you're an idiot. What are you doing? But he's a stand-up guy. He's a forthright guy. He's an integrous guy, he's an honest guy, and he understands the concept of friendship. So with that being said, I want to introduce you to my friend, Bill Forster.
Oh.
Okay, the guy he was talking about, I don't know where he is. So it doesn't much matter. I figured if I stand up here, I'd be as tall as him. Oh, gosh. I'm just looking. I came from Florida, from the B'nai Torah, and a large congregation. And like the rabbi said, things get strange when you tell people who you're associating with. I met him, and we'll tell about this story because he told you his way, and I'm going to tell you my way. And Denise's way, over there, okay. It's a difference. You know, I watch on the live stream, and I love the signs you do. And you can do it, Denise, okay? And I sit there and I watch all these signs. Y'all holding up signs, and I see my friend with the white beard. I recognize Huff. You know, the white beard stands out. A couple of Telasim in the room stand out. But the happy faces and the smiles and the glory. And I say to myself, wouldn't it be wonderful if one day I was watching and somebody held up a sign, Shalom Bell. You know, y'all take for granted that you're here and everything's good, but you forget that there are thousands of people. I met a gentleman back there, said he watched live stream for a year and a half before he came here. So you might get mad at me, but I'm going to talk to my people on the live stream. I think I'm their advocate. And I brought some signs. Y'all look. These are people, okay? Make sure you see their names. These are great people who watch on live stream, unrepresented, okay? And I'm representing them. So I'm going to challenge y'all that I think you should allow and welcome those of us who can't be here to join your service, be part of your congregation. So I say to all my friends on live stream, okay, send a note to the rabbi. Don't send it to Denise. Send it right to the rabbi. Okay? He loves to get mail, you know. Send it to the rabbi. That way he won't call me so much and do it. You know, and say to Rabbi, I watch you on live stream. I'm part of the congregation. Let me come in. And so I hope next week you'll have thousands of people, and you're going to have to stand there with hi Doug, hi Greg, hi everybody. Okay? So that's my dream. And that's what I missed from the live stream. I didn't feel the connection. I sat there for the 2 hours and change. It was wonderful, and I enjoyed watching all of you. But to be a part of it, believe me, you couldn't do a better mitzvah than to let people join in on your joy. Thank you. You know, I was a couple of years ago, 72 years old at the time, I was giving money to Nevi Mechal. Y'all have been involved with Nevi Mechal longer than me. My involvement started 4 or 5 years ago, and my foundation had a mission called Chicken for Shabbat. And we subsidized Shabbat dinners at Nevi Mechal and 6 other orphanages in Israel, and it was fine. And I got to meet Haven, found out there was a board of directors 30 minutes from my house. I said, why don't you invite me to come? I'm giving so much money every month for years, and nobody, I get the thank you notes, you know, tax deductions and thank you. But nobody invites me to come to a board meeting. So I finally, you know, I'm a type A personality, as you'll find out, and I wouldn't give it up. And finally they invited me. Well, it was a blessing and a curse, you know. I said to myself, because I know my type A personality, you're going to go, you're going to listen, and you're going to keep your mouth shut. Well, I went and I listened, and 99-year-old Jack Stromfeld, who Rabbi had a 15-year running relationship with, 99 years old, this man stops the board meeting in the middle. He says, I'm ready to talk. He says, I'm planning my 100th birthday. Here's my save the date. Here's my invitation. I've already made the reservations at the synagogue. I've hired the band, the caterer, and I've got the guest list all prepared. 99 years old. He can't barely see. He can't barely hear. He's got AIDS 24 hours, and it is, you know, unfortunately, he's like that. And I was just amazed. I mean, really, imagine a 99-year-old man with that kind of passion. And I came to find out that 95% of the money raised that year was raised by Jack. I'm looking around these board members, what the hell you guys been doing? Jack raised 95% of the money. $1 million this man raised. And all these board members, oh, it's like, you do nothing. So the chairman says, I got a guest here. Bill, would you like to say a few words? And that was my mistake. And I said, yes. And I said, I've never seen anybody like this in my life. I've traveled, as Rabbi said. I've been involved in so many organizations, I couldn't list them. I've been involved in charities and synagogues and overall umbrella organizations of synagogues, and I've been all around the country helping synagogues that have trouble. That was my role. My duty, my responsibilities for United Synagogue was a troubleshooter. So if the synagogue was having financial trouble, you went. And if they had a fight with the rabbi, you went, and you'd solve the problem. So they said to me, what do you think we should be doing, God forbid, when Jack goes? He's 99. I said, well, I think you should memorialize Jack. Y'all done nothing, And that's why I spoke to him. Y'all done nothing. Jack's going to live on. His legacy needs to live on. We need to make his birthday an annual celebration for Nevi Mechal. Oh, that's a great idea, great idea. Would you join the board? No, I don't want to join the board. Then all of a sudden Jack goes, I got something to say. And he points his finger at me. He says, I'm 99 years old, and I'm tired. And what I need is a young, fresh man to come take over. A young, fresh man that's 72, and I'm ready to retire, and he's telling me he wants me to take over the American office of Nevi Mechal. How do you say no? You don't. It's like God speaks through him. He did. So I get involved in Nevi Mechal, which leads me to how I got here today. Crazy story. I'm going to tell the truth. And no, you missed it. You did tell the truth, but you left out a couple of...
You're going to leave. I have to stay. You understand?
You have to bear witness to what you do. So anyway, I get involved in Nevi Mechal, and all of a sudden I get the budget reports, I get the financials, and I see all these donations coming in from these weird cities that are not Jewish-type cities. It's not Philadelphia, New York. It's Papaloosa, Arizona, Fuquay, North Carolina. We don't have any Jews in Fuquay, North Carolina. And so I said to the bookkeeper, who are all these people? Well, they're Rabbi Greg's people. I said, well, who is Rabbi Greg? Well, Hava's friend, Rabbi Greg's Hava, and Jack's friend. So I called Hava, who, by the way, sends her deepest regards and appreciation to everybody. She's going to watch this after Shabbat. And Hava says, oh, you've got to go meet Rabbi Greg. Well, she didn't realize what that meant. So I look up, Rabbi Greg, he's not a conservative synagogue, because I know all the conservative synagogues. So he must be a Reform synagogue, or an Orthodox synagogue, or Chabad Lubavitch synagogue. I wasn't smart enough to figure out the name BETH YESHUA. At 72, I'm not the sharpest spark plug in the engine. So I finally figured it out. I said, whoa, a Messianic synagogue. Oh, my Lord. I'm originally from Virginia, okay? And then I'm living in basically New York, Florida, Boca Raton. Messianic synagogues, I mean, who, what, where? Doesn't exist. And so I call, and I hear this voice, Shalom, this is Denise. I said, hi, my name is Bill. I'm the new director of Nevi Mechal, and I'd like to talk to the rabbi. Oh, I'm sorry, he's not here. He's busy. I said, well, would you tell him I'd like to talk to him? I'm from Nevi Mechal. I just want to call and thank him for all the donations and do. That's what I wanted to do. She said, I'll try. Right, Denise? 3 days later, I call. Shalom, this is Denise. I said, Denise, did the rabbi say he would? No, Bill, you know, I've tried to reach him. He's busy, he's in town. Okay, 3 days later, I call again. Shalom, this is Denise. This went on for 7 phone calls, a dozen phone calls. Finally, she says, you live in Florida? I said, yes, I live in Boca Raton. She says, that's near Orlando. I said, well, 3-hour drive, it's near Orlando, if you want to make it near Orlando. I said, the rabbi is going to be at the conference, a regional conference of Messianic Jewish Association of America. And if you go there on Shabbat, the rabbi will see you for 10 minutes. 10 minutes. She didn't say 11 or 12, or he'll see you for 10 minutes. I said, okay. I determined at this point. So I packed up my todahs, I got my yarmulke, I got on the internet, I signed up for the conference, and I drive to Orlando, and Saturday morning, I show up at the front doors of the Messianic Jewish Association of America. I'm taking pictures, okay? Because nobody's going to believe that I was there. You know they're not going to believe it, you know? And so I'm taking pictures of that. And then Denise comes over to me, and I said, okay, Denise, how are you? Says, well, come on, Bill, you'll sit with me, and we'll go to Shabbat services, and the rabbi will see you after service. So I got my towels on, and I go in with Denise, sit in the back row, and the service starts, and on the board, all the prayers are in Hebrew and English. Of course, the same prayers that we pray in our synagogue. So I know them. All my life I've been praying, you know them by heart. So Denise looks at me and says, y'all a rabbi? You know the prayers, right? I said, no, I am definitely not a rabbi. But you know the prayers too, you know? Oh my God, my phone is on. And, you know, I went to the service, and I sang, and I watched everybody dancing and talking and doing all their stuff. And I was amazed, and I took pictures. I actually took videos. You turn it off for me? Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Just turn it off. All right, thank you. So I'm taking videos. I'm taking videos and then dancing around with the Torah. I'm taking videos of people dancing in the aisle. My friends are never going to believe this. I have to take the pictures. Finally, services are over. Denise says, come on, we'll meet the rabbi. So we went up front, and all of a sudden this big, colossal guy shows up. I don't think he has much of a personality because he's kind of like intimidating. And he says to me, come on, you can sit with me for 10 minutes. I'm hungry. We went to the restaurant. Everybody knows Rabbi Greg. You want your salmon? Yeah, fine. They didn't ask me if I wanted anything. He did not ask me if I wanted anything, because after all, I'm only going to be there for 10 minutes. This is true. True? This is true. And a witness to God, this is true. So I'm sitting there, and I got 10 minutes. So who are you? Where did you come from? You know, and he told me his life story, and 3.5 hours later, we were finished. And while we were there, all these other rabbis, David from North Carolina, wherever, and Joel, Everybody came over. Who is this man sitting with Rabbi Greg for more than 10 minutes? And so that's how I got to meet him, and I went home, and I was just so taken back by everything, by the service, by the enthusiasm. Look, we're a big synagogue in Boca Raton. You know, I came from Virginia. When I was president, I stood in front of the congregation and said, Shabbat Shalom, y'all. And what does that mean? It took 2 years for them to figure out to say it back. So this is the folks that I'm telling. So I've got Orthodox rabbis, conservative rabbis, Reform rabbis, my own family, my wife, my children, my best friends. And all I can talk about is going to the Messianic. And I think they were going to commit me. But I am so proud that I went. It changed my life. It truly did. I have never seen all my travels, and I've been all around the world. Greg knows my story. I've never seen a congregation. And again, I grew up in Virginia. I've been to a black church in Virginia, you know, where they're jumping up and down, and the pastor says, throw your money up in the sky, and what stays up is the Lord's, and what comes down is sweet daddy graces. So I've seen that kind of phony stuff, but I've never seen the real stuff, okay? Never seen the real stuff. And so we got involved with Nevi Mechal, and Greg, the rabbi, has been amazing. He told you the essence of Nevi Mechal, 75-year-old organization, beautiful campus, dedicated people, 300 plus beautiful, beautiful children, all who have suffered the worst abuses you can imagine. And so when I go out to solicit, everybody says, oh, it's an orphanage, it's a children's shelter, you feed, you clothe, you educate, you give comfort. That's wonderful, but I got lots of people I give money to. I said, what you don't understand, as the rabbi said, Nevi Mechal saves lives. They do. And think about it. You save the life of this young man or this young woman, they get married, you're saving their spouse's wife. They have children, you're saving their children's wife, family. So it's more than saving one person. You're saving generations. So I say, and I want to talk to you this morning for whatever he's going to let me continue to talk for, about special. Neve Michael is special. The word special to me has become very important. And as I said, I've traveled around the world. I've visited all kinds of synagogues, churches in Europe, and they're special to the eye. They're special to the eye. Go into the Vatican. Let's use the top one as an example. It's amazing. The architecture, the paintings, the statues, the engineering skill that went into, it's a special place. But as my cantor friends say, it had no salt and pepper. It didn't have any seasoning. And all these glorious places I went to, then one day we were in Prague, and I visited the big synagogue with the fan, and Rabbi had a picture of it with the big bema, ivory and gold plated things, and super elaborate. And again, no salt and pepper. And then I stumbled upon this little synagogue in Prague that was next to the cemetery. And it was so torn apart. They only had a little room, like a foyer, and in the foyer were bookcases, glass bookcases, and some benches. It couldn't have been 1,500 square foot. And in every bookcase, there was a prayer book or a religious book for each holiday or whatever. And I went and looked at the first window, and I looked at it, and I started feeling something. I went to the next window, and it was Shabbat. I closed my eyes, and I heard thousands of voices. Uviyom, 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 ha-Shabbos. Yom, uviyom, uviyom, ha-Shabbos. And I'm saying, oh my gosh, I hear voices. Went to the next one, and it was turned to Passover. And there was a Haggadah. And on the Haggadah is Manish Tana Halala Hazeh, the 4 questions. And I'm hearing voices, thousands of voices in my head. And I'm moving, and I'm there by myself. So I'm alone in this room, go to the next window, and it's for the high holidays. It was Yom Kippur. And we know the major song on Yom Kippur is called Nidre, generally sung by the senior cantor, the guy with the big bellowing voices. And I had my eyes closed, and I heard this, Kol Nidre Vanisane. And I was shaking, and I was singing, and I turned around, there was a woman sitting in a bench, and I was so embarrassed. And I said, I'm sorry, I don't know what happened. She says, no, don't be sorry. You know, that was a special place. True meaning of special. And yesterday I came here not knowing, I mean, I've seen it on the internet, I've seen it on television, haven't been to this building. And 7 years old. Buildings need aging, and they need time to mature, I would think, in order to become extra special, more than just a pretty place. And Rabbi takes me to the wall, and all of a sudden, I sense it. Ooh, you know, we come inside, I come inside the sanctuary, and we go to the Torah, and I heard the voices, heard your voices. I heard you singing. I saw your smiles and the joy that you have. This is a special place, a very special place. And then in my travels, I've met some very special people. You know, I grew up in Virginia. My next door neighbor was Jim and Tammy Baker. At one time, they were special. My father rented a small building to Pat Robinson to start his radio program. So I met Pat Robinson. Now, he's a special guy. And then on one trip, and I think I shared this with the rabbi, we're flying to Acapulco, and Dr. Billy Graham is on the plane. So my friend I'm with says, that's Dr. Billy Graham, that's Dr. Billy Graham. I said, all right, so it's Dr. Billy Graham. Okay, big shot, let me see you talk to him. Now my friend's like Greg, he's a big guy, ex-Marine. He's afraid to talk to Billy Graham. So Billy Graham had to go to the laboratory on the way back. I said, Dr. Graham, my name is Bill Forster. My wife is sitting next to me. How are you? I'm fine. We started talking. My wife gets up. She went to sit with Mrs. Graham. And for 2 hours, Dr. Graham and I got to know each other. Amazing. I looked in his eyes. Something strange. You could see the world in that man's eyes. He's a special man. And then I met Rabbi Greg. With all his craziness and all his hard exterior, he is the kindest, nicest, most soulful person. He's special. And I know y'all like to repeat things, so help me on with this. When he preaches from his heart. Yes, that makes him special. When he says hello to you and he embraces you, you feel it. Yes. That makes him special. Right. when he helps all the people and he starts these missions all over the world, that makes him. And when he comes to Israel and he steps foot on Nevi Mechal, and you see his tears come and you see his face, you know he is. So, you know, traveling all these years, I've met some really great things, people, saw some great things. And I'm just going to end by saying, in my heart and my soul, all of you are special. I've never been in a congregation that made me feel so warm and welcome. I've never felt the spirituality. We don't do this in our synagogue, you know. It's it. You know, we don't do that, you know. We wait for 12 o'clock if the rabbi hadn't stopped speaking, we leave. You know, we just go. You can't talk for an hour and 10 minutes in my synagogue. You talk for more than 20 minutes and you better go to the golf course to finish it out because all the guys are playing golf. So I just want to thank you for giving me this opportunity. I guess I meant to talk to you about the wheelchairs. It's very dear to me. And we wouldn't have done the wheelchairs without your commitment. I remember when I first met the person with the wheelchairs, I mentioned to Rabbi Greg how much they cost, how many do you think we're going to need? I told him, he says, I'm in, I'm your partner. And I want you to know that we've now shipped almost 400 wheelchairs. We've got another 300 more to go. And between Rabbi Hershberg, you and my friends in the outside world on the live screen and all my friends and my family, together, we have put up 100% of all the money for those wheelchairs, 100%. And last couple of weeks ago, I've been working on a project. We're now going to give those children who are capable iPads and accessories to fit on their wheelchairs so they can learn and communicate and they can pray and they can do things. You know, it was miraculous that people got wheelchairs, never been outside before. Now with the wheelchairs, they go outside. Now they can become vibrant. So the wheelchairs don't only give them mobility, it gives them respect, it gives them hope. And we're saving lives with them too. So God bless all of you. Thank you for inviting me. I'm sorry I spoke longer than I was allotted. And I hope all my friends send in your letters to the rabbi.
Quickly, let me just explain to you that have not grown up in the Jewish world why I didn't want to see him. I was convinced beyond the shadow of a doubt that he was going to tell me, I'm sorry, I appreciate what you've done. You cannot be involved in Nevi Mechal any longer, being messianic. Convinced, I was sure of it. So I just didn't want to hear those words.
And now tell him you're a member of the board of directors.
Yeah, it went from him kicking me out to asking me to be on the board. And that was the reason. I told Haver a long time ago, please let me help the children. That's all I want to do. My Bible and my Torah doesn't say to help believing children, non-believing children, black children, white children, messianic children. Everybody gets caught up. You don't understand. You're so caught up with your own kind. How are you ever going to connect the dots and reach out if all you do is stay with your own kind? Now I have this opportunity to sit and not talk about Yeshua. Too many Christians talk about him. I get a chance to show them YESHUA. So, thanks for being so kind to my buddy.
The twins.
The twin.
The twins. The movies. Don't we look like the twins? You said that. Right?
That's what you said. You said it's
you
Arnold
said
Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Vincent, I'm your brother.
Yes.
Bill, I'm your brother. When I saw and understood the overwhelming price that God paid for all my terrible sins through Yeshua's sacrifice, all I wanted to do was pay him back. From that moment I met him on that Mount Tabor in the Galilee in Israel, all I wanted to do was pay him back. But you know what? Truth be told, in 29 years since then, he has never asked me once to pay him back. All I keep hearing him say is, Greggy, just pay me forward. So forward I do. So the works that we do are not for our salvation, but because of our salvation. It's our little way of saying, thank you, God. We love you. With that being said, this week I spoke to our accountants. We don't do anything in-house. I do that to protect me and protect everybody else here. And people are giving so much online. Do you know I've never asked them to give? Not once. I never even said, if we've been a blessing to you, who's ever heard of that? Bill says, I don't. How do you do that? You don't have a database. She says, how many mailings have you sent out? 0. How many times have you asked? Never. But we had such a plethora that came in, and we're so trusted that I made somewhat of an executive decision this week. I called our 2 elders, of course, because I'm not really allowed to make a unilateral decision, but I know them. I know their heart, and they know my heart. They know I'm all about outreach, not inreach. Now, yes, we can use a fellowship hall, but I think times are short, guys. I do. I think times are short. So, I decided to send up and above what we send every month, $25,000 to India, which will mean, that will convert into a couple of hundred souls. It will also convert into feeding people that are starving, not have little food, have no food, and clothing widows. $20,000 to CBY Kenya. I decided to send $17,500 to the Forster Foundation, which converts into a lot more wheelchairs. And then I told Arnie, I need you to find something. I just can't. He doesn't need our support financially. CBY Australia doesn't need our support. They have their own congregation. But I said, I need you to find something, an outreach. And he did. Let me show you a quick pic. This is in a place they cannot get any funding. Nobody will give them a nickel. These are people that are so well-to-do, and there are no Christians. They kind of don't exist, except for that one place that all they do is sing. I don't know the name of it. You probably know it. Nobody will help them. This girl is running this place on a shoestring. For 20 years, she started as a volunteer. She's running it, but I vet everything. You tell me about a ministry. I'm not interested. Tell me, of every dollar we send, what's going to the people and what's going to buy the person a new Lexus. I got to know, and if it's 50-50, I'm not interested. So again, we stumble upon this ministry, so I decided, let's seed some money. Let's send 10 grand to her right away. Let's see what she does with it, and we'll go from there. They have a little sonogram machine. That altar, the lady to the right, is part of Arnie's congregation. The way he stumbled upon it, when me and Arnie prayed, the next day she comes into the Shabbat service with a baby. Oh, altar, is that your grandchild? No, I watch these babies. They have led, most of these girls that go there are either prostitutes who got pregnant, drug addicts, or teens who were thrown out of the house. They have 100 babies they're trying to take care of. 100 babies. You follow? And that's the young lady, Michelle, who takes care of the ministry there. And just to let you know, I had Arnie vet it. He said there's no government assistance because the government is pro-abortion. Total pro-abortion, the whole country. So they can't help. He says the work he had done is outstanding, much needed and totally underfunded, run by a beautiful Christian-hearted woman. They have my full support. It was an honor to get to know them. Arnie decided that over the next couple of months, whatever they receive in their offering is going to this problem pregnancy house. So now we have something in Australia. Beautiful? That's there. I got them involved with. I said, fine. There's got to be homeless people. Everybody can't be rich in Australia. right? Find some homeless people. That's my MO. You just can't have in-reach. You got to have some outreach. Now, some of you say, yeah, but I have an outreach. We can't be everything to everyone. We have to pick up. When I find a well that I'm drilling and it's gushing oil, I don't run to drill another well. I keep drilling until it comes up dry. You've got to do what God has you do. I'm sure most of you are involved in things. Good causes, wonderful causes, but we can't underwrite everything. Secondly, we can only do what God tells us to do. That's what's crucial. And then last but not least, I phoned Bill and I said, we have $90,000 that's committed to Nevi Mechal. He said, let me call you right back. He calls me back and he says, you know how I am. I like dedicated funds. I don't like things going in the general fund, neither do I. He said, there was a beautiful thing planned. It's $400,000 and there's an anonymous donor and she is willing to put up $200,000 half if she could find immediately somebody who will put up the other 200. So I said, I have 90. He said, I'll give you 10. That's 100. He said, would you sign a note indebting BETH YESHUA for the other 100? Otherwise, she's not going to go in. These are business people. They don't mess around. I said, done. And then I said, oh, crap, on that one, I forgot to call Dave and Joe. All the others, I got approval. So, not to put you guys on the spot, do you see how we do things here? First of all, listen, most churches and synagogues wouldn't even put up this money. Not in a million years. And if they did, their finance committee, their budget committee, their 25 deacons, it would take a year. We did this from start to finish. How long did it take? 45 minutes. 45 minutes it took to do this from start to finish. This is unheard of. But what would YESHUA do? How many meetings would he have? Stop praying for people and get them a sandwich. You got the pictures for Nevi Mechal? This is Nevi Mechal, obviously. That's an overview of the campus. So you have like the Children's Crisis Center here and here that we totally refurbed. A little bit of a gymnasium. You've got the homes where all the kids live. You've got the lunch area. But check out what they're going to do. It's going to complete it. When I got there 15 years ago, I was just happy they had something. Was it run down? Yes, but I was happy that a kid is being pulled out of their house after the most horrific abuse there is. But as I got more and more involved, I thought, why shouldn't they have something beautiful? Why should a kid be taken out of their home in crisis and then go to a place that's in crisis? Why should my kid have a nice playground and not them? It's not right. You know, in the days of old, there was slavery in the Bible. Not the slavery that man pulled. In other words, you owe me money, you become my slave. Wash my car, pay it off. But if you become my slave, Leviticus, you live in my house. What my kids eat, you eat. My kids get a new mattress, you get a new mattress. I treat you exactly like my child, not like this sick stuff that went on, sadly enough. But I thought, why not? So let's see the playground. That's going to be the playground in the center. Beautiful walkway. Kids don't have anything like that. That's going to be their main facility. And then it continues. That's the wall that they put up, the wall of guardians that Jack's picture is on there and my picture is on there. And you know, when I called Hava to tell her, this is the way God works, she's like, Rabbi Greg, they just asked me to take in 25 kids. I can't. Now I can. Now I can. And she said, I never walked through this way. I'm at the prayer wall. I'm looking at your picture. I never look at it, but I'm looking at it right now as you call, and I'm thanking Hashem that you came in my life, and now I'm shaking and I'm crying because this was a dream that we didn't think would come true. And you guys are making it happen. Guys, and you guys are making it happen. You really are. It's insane. Without even trying. I don't think, oh God. That's really nice. Bill just handed me a thing, and the board of directors voted to name the park after my mother and father. You know, I have never been to, I've used to speak at hundreds of different churches. I've never been to a place like BETH YESHUA. It's just amazing. And such a little place who are doing things that are just beyond. It's like Gideon's army. It's just beyond what a little place can do when, I think, when God just anoints it and you just follow, you just follow his lead. But I want to tell you something. I just ran into a young lady who lives in my neighborhood. I tried to speak to her years ago. It just didn't work. I felt like I was intruding. Maybe she was having a difficult day. But she came up to me a couple of months ago and said, who are you? And I said, nobody of consequence. She goes, you're always talking to everybody. You're always smiling. And who are you? And I said, nobody. She goes, come on. So she pushed and pushed, and I told her the place. And she goes, you're the guy? I said, I'm the guy, yeah. But I don't like to say, I don't like to generalize, but she would not be typical of somebody that would come here, okay? I ran into her yesterday at a grocery store. How you doing? Saw a little baby, loved the little baby. And she said, I need to tell you something. I've been just coming for like a month. My life has totally been transformed. Not a little. How many of you really could say that from coming here, your life has been totally transformed? I got news for you. So is mine. I didn't bring the transformation. I just followed the cloud. The Lord brought the transformation, and I've been transformed, and my family's been transformed. And we are so flippin' blessed beyond the curse that just come out of yourself for a moment and just give God glory and praise for all that he's doing, because he's worthy. Man, if my mom and dad were alive, golly jeepers, man, they were such good people, poor schnooks, and they give you their last 5 cents. Help anybody, anytime, any day of the year. My kids, I want to leave them a legacy. My time is short, and the legacy I want to leave them is legitimacy and genuineness of a believer. That's why it's important that they see me loving their mom. That's why it's important they see me helping the poor. My little pipsqueak of a daughter, she doesn't say much to anybody. I mean, one day she said something to me, and I said, wow, I didn't even know you could talk. But, I realized it hit me one time, because you don't know how you're doing. There's no meter, really. You know what I mean? Especially when it comes to parenting or raising kids in the Lord. You don't know sometimes till they grow up. And she was 13, 16? How the heck old? I don't even know how old she is now. 16 in New York City. And I got into this altercation with this really tough parking lot attendant. New York's tough enough. And let me tell you, I grew up in a Hispanic neighborhood, no offense, but when a Puerto Rican guy says to you, you got a problem, you got a problem. And this guy was like gonna go, and I look big, but my rotator cuff's torn. I mean, I used to be really tough, but I just look like a tough. Most of you old ladies could beat the snot out of me, probably. And it looked like, and the old me was just like, I can't back away from this. My daughter's here, And this little, you know how small she is. She got between me and him and put her hands on his chest and said, don't you talk to my dad like that. My dad is a good man. He goes to God-forsaken countries and helps people that can't help themselves. I was so happy. I wanted the guy to take a swing. Hit me. Go ahead. Look, I can be pushy. I know. And I could be very opinionated. I understand. And I don't blame you for not liking me. I get it. But I'm saying, be a believer. Be a believer. Stop studying. Stop getting more and more information. It's not important what Constantine wore. Just do what the Bible tells us to do, and all will be well with your soul. Let's stand. If for whatever reason you don't like the food, just talk to Bill. I had nothing to do with that. Bill didn't, when he made these plans, he called me last Saturday like a maniac, said, I got to come this weekend. I was like, okay. And we didn't know all that was going to transpire, but God is absolutely astounding. We're amazed. The board is amazed. I'm sure that anonymous donor might not be amazed, huh? Once we call and say, hey, fork over the 200K. But she's amazed because she never thought it would happen, see? But it did. So anyway, thanks for being, hungry and thirsty and wanting more of God. Thanks for, being those wells that God can pour into, because don't ever forget how crazy he is about you. Don't deny in the darkness what you know in the light to be true. Don't listen to the enemy that he will ever betray you. God is good and he's crazy about you. And if he was willing to give his son when we were yet far from him, how much more now that we're his children? May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. And may the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you his peace in the name of the Prince of all peace, Yeshua. Yivarecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Yo'er Adonai ponav elecha v'hunecha. Yisa Adonai ponav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. I love you guys. Shabbat shalom.